this video, I'm going to share some of the techniques and some exercises to develop a good, smooth, multiple bounce roll, which I call the orchestral type of roll, just to differentiate between the rudimental style roll, which is 2 bounces with each hand. This is 3 or more bounces with each hand. And it doesn't just apply to orchestral percussionists. If you're a drum set player, you need to have a good smooth roll. So this is something that everybody can use. It's worked for me and countless students. And first thing I want to talk about is starting off with developing each hand independently. You'll never have a hope of having a good roll unless you're getting the same length, weight, and intensity of bounces with each hand. So the first exercise we're going to do is just that. We're going to work on each hand independently, but we're going to use the chicken wing. Now you may have heard of the chicken wing, and we call it that because when you throw the stick down towards the pad or drum head, the motion starts at the shoulder and it forces that elbow out, so it kind of looks like a chicken wing. And so it's this kind of, we start about 6, you don't have to come up a foot, 12 inches, just 6 or 8 inches is fine. And just let that stick, let that elbow come out and let that stick go. Now if you play match grip, it's the same thing. The first exercise is we're going to do some eighth note, three groups of 4 eighth notes, and eighth note equals 100 on the metronome. So this is 1 and 2 and 2 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 2 and 2 and 3 and 2 and 1 and 2 and so forth. And you can gradually increase the speed when you're hearing. Oh, very important, forgot to mention, you must practice in front of a mirror, because you're never going to get that chicken wing unless you're watching yourself to make sure that you're getting the right motion with each hand. Now you can increase that and that's kind of at the point where you're going to be ready to put the hands together. Now the exercise for putting the hands together, we're going to use a measured roll. In other words, we're going to have a 16th note pattern with the hands, and then we're just going to fall right in with the multiple bounces to play a nice smooth roll in between. Oh, one thing I forgot to mention. When do we use the chicken wing? Well, the chicken wing comes in when we're playing mezzo, forte, and above in volume. Why? Okay, the reason for that is the chicken wing helps, rather than just using the wrist, using the chicken wing, you've got a larger muscle group at work for you to smooth those individual, it's like, the pistons in a car, all these individual pistons are firing, and the flywheel smooths all that out so that the engine doesn't rock and shake. It's smooth. That's what the chicken wing does for you. But when we get below mezzo forte, we get down to mezzo piano and piano, we're going to use less of the chicken wing and more of the wrist. So if we go from this we're going to be using more wrist, more fingers to help, a little more pressure with the fingers to help get more bounces, because we're going to be slowing the roll, the movement of the hands down somewhat as we get softer. And just the opposite, as you crescendo up, the hands are going to start to move faster. So you're going from more bounces at a very low dynamic level to less bounces and more speed at the higher dynamic level. Now let me show you what I mean by this measured roll thing. We're going to go to 126. This is a quarter note equals 126. And we're going to play 2 bars of 16th notes, 1 iana, 2 iana, and we're going to play 2 bars of a roll. Now you'll notice that for the 16th notes, I'm using wrist. For the roll, I'm using the chicken wing. I'm not pressing. I'm staying as relaxed as I can when I go into the roll. But when you're watching yourself in the mirror, you have to make sure that you're not still using wrist when you play the roll, that you are using the chicken wing. Now, once you get that down, then you can practice. Let's go down to about 110. You can practice soft rolls by using the same technique. But you'll notice that the chicken wing really isn't involved. It's more wrist now at a soft dynamic level. Basically, let's recap. Basically, it's work each hand independently, practice in front of a mirror, work each hand starting 6 or 8 inches from the pad or from the drum pad. Watch yourself to make sure you're doing the chicken wing correctly. And you can also practice getting the same weight and intensity and length at a lower dynamic level. But it's going to take a while to get the feel of that chicken wing down. It doesn't feel natural at first to do that. But it's really important in developing a good roll. And you want to practice putting the hands to, once you hear and can see in the mirror that everything's working together, then you can start working on the measuring and start at a quarter note equals 126, measuring 16th notes, 2 bars of 16th notes, 2 bars of roll. Then you can spread it out to to a whole measure of 16th notes, 4 beats to 4 beats of a roll. And that will get you a lot further ahead when it comes to playing a good role. If you're pre-college, if you're in high school and you're getting ready to go audition for music school, this is very important to be able to play a good role without having it sound, without being able to hear pulses, be able to develop a really, really good, really smooth, soft role. That's very hard. There's literature, orchestral, in some of the orchestral repertoire, in Capriccio Espagnole, loud roll way down to nothing, and it continues a long time under a violin solo. And a lot of people get nervous. Nerves creep in, and they start to tense up. And you always want to fight being tense. You always want to be loose and kind of have the sticks, never have bone on the sticks. Don't crush the roll. Just relax and let it go. And it'll eventually come together for you, believe me. Well, thanks for watching.